Hi there, everyone. Thanks for coming along to this workshop today. Little software itself, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use Quirkos in a qualitative analysis curriculum to teach software. We're going to focus specifically on educators at any kind of level, even high school level. Can fit into an integrated curriculum that includes some aspects of qualitative research. So if you've got any questions during the live presentation today, do ask. If you're watching this as the recorded feed, feel free to ask below, and we will check regularly and see if we can answer them. Now, the first question is, what is this terminology quite a lot? There are two terms which are quite commonly used for qualitative analysis software you might see. The first is QDAS. So the first one stands for computer-assisted qualitative data analysis, and the second term is qualitative data analysis software, QDAS. You'll see these do mean pretty much the same thing, and it's important to remember that these are software tools that help with qualitative analysis. It's still very much up to the end user to do the interpretation of the data, to do the analysis. They're essentially tools for text, which are about certain themes and topics. And it's important to remember also the point. So when you have done your coding in any kind of qualitative analysis package, it's part of a process by which you need to then go and use your brain and your methodological approach and your theory to analysis and findings. But they are very useful tools for exploring the data, for organizing and sorting. A lot of people would think that to teach qualitative analysis, obviously a lot of people prefer to do it with highlighters and post-it notes and flip charts and that kind of approach. But there are a lot of advantages to using software that will, in terms of how it fits into a curriculum, I feel there are also advantages to teaching software on top of using paper and traditional methods. The first of which would be, I think it helps students to understand, because it's a lot more flexible. You've always got those undo and redo options. You can go back and check for the first time, and it also helps you see exactly what's going on. You can widen your coding profile and how you're approaching the data, and I think this helps develop critical students at all levels, but also planning skills, I think, because the software encourages you to it really provides some kind of structure to the process, which I think helps you think through projects in general. I think also if you're learning some kind of Cactus software, when you go to use much bigger projects, when you're doing your kind of example. So where a lot of student projects might be very small in terms of their scope and might not need hundreds of different topics and hundreds of different interviews and sources of information, if you've got the up to the plate when you do need to do projects of that size. And also I think it's a good thing for students who've done some kind of qualitative approach in the past. There are a lot of jobs, especially in social science, in policy, in public, which look for these kind of skills. And to be able to say that you've been trained in a particular package is a good way of help your career progression later on. So there are a lot of different qualitative packages. Will have different licenses for different ones. Obviously, we're Quirkos, and we have a slight bias in terms of interesting in terms of its pedagogical approach, mostly because it was specifically designed to be taught we were setting out the software and the features and the interface. We wanted to make sure that it was going to be very easy to learn. This is partly because we want people who actually had no formal research training be able to do some kind of contributory analysis in qualitative research. So there are challenges teaching the current software in the curriculum. The Quirkos interface, we found that students engage very well with this because it's a live interface and it shows exactly what's happening as students go. So it's very easy for them to see these processes which they're reading about and hearing about when they're different and methodological approaches to exploring their qualitative data. We also designed Quirkos to fit into. We do workshops every month where we teach Quirkos to students of all different abilities within a that's pretty much everything from start to finish. So that's something that obviously fits in very well with seminars, into an existing curriculum very easy. Where some of the other software packages, you'll see training sessions 3 days in some cases, and that's for a lot of students and a lot of courses an activity, but it's not something which is a kind of can be easily engaged as a primer to take things further if students choose to. And also I think that Quirkos is a good introduction to other software packages. The alternatives, say like Atlas TI, they're much more complicated pieces of software that has disadvantages in terms of the learning curve, but a lot of them features a lot more functionality and they're a lot more powerful for certain tasks. So a lot of students may choose those more complex packages, but I still think Quirkos is a great first step. It shows the basics, it has all the kind of fundamental software packages, but because it's more visual and because it's simpler to learn, it's a good kind of first step, a kind of introduction. So we've also designed a series of materials to try and help educators to teach. So we think, in fact, what we find is that most students actually self-teach, that they will use the materials on the web, how to use the software themselves. It's also designed to be very forgiving. So in fact, we watch a lot of students who, and they'll generally uncover most of the things that they need to do without too much external to guide students in group sessions, in interactive workshops through using the software. Again, that's something that we've about, and we've got quite a lot of experience now about how best to teach it, how best to engage, to memorized action that people can take further. So all the materials that we've developed are freely available, and that goes for the video guides, the manuals, example projects with data that we have up there from other projects, own data to explore at this stage. And I think that's very useful as well, because sometimes you want to introduce before postgraduate students start their own data collection. Research training programs not always be flexible for everybody's different timescales. So when you need to teach the analysis process, students might not be ready for the analysis. Pedagogically, it's important for students to understand what's going to be involved in the analysis process before they start. They can make sure that what they do is achievable and attainable, and it's going to fit with the workflow methodology. Now, we also have video guides and monthly online workshops. This is one here on and so that's another great way that students can teach themselves, or you can show some of the example videos lengths. There's a 5-minute guide, a 20-minute guide, and a 1-hour guide, and a 20-minute guide fits very well. So it really is a great prompt for students to go and explore the software in their own time if you don't have time in your own session. We also options which cover all of the features in Quirkos, and these are released under a Creative Commons license, so it modify it and use in their own teaching sessions. And the advantage taking screenshots of every feature, explaining how each button works and things like that, and you can just take this teach in a particular session, or you can just take the whole bunch and go through it in a 2-hour session. That can work. Talking at a blue screen, let's actually have a look interactively at some of these materials and see. So if you go to our website, you'll be able to click here on the Learn button, and this has a whole bunch of different resources in addition to the more interactive support options there as well. So we're going to actually show here the Learn. It will take you to this page, and you'll see that these are grouped basically into 3 different sections. There's very materials, there's ones which are slightly more in depth, and then there are very detailed ones. So you'll see, for example, video and very basic getting started manual, and then we go through to a much more detailed 40-minute detailed a full qualitative data project to explore, and the full manual to look through. People getting started guide, and this is available on the website as a PDF for you to print out. It's a guide which probably would take about an hour to go through. You can either print it out yourself or order printed copies, or just or a computer as you're going through and learning the software. It covers and opening your first project, detailing different parts of the screen, and then the overview of what all the different buttons represent. There's basically a step-by-step guide, and by following through this data project download I'll show you in a minute, you can go through, follow through a example qualitative project that actually which shows all of the basics of doing coding and managing the source, through generating reports and querying the data. So that's a very we generally recommend most people start if they like to work from a written guide, and if that step-by-step approach works for them. Obviously, work for show the videos now, it's slightly superfluous showing a video within a video, but as I've said, there are 3 different choices here of, and they show different levels of detail. So whatever you feel is best for your students to learn in that course. And this is a similar kind of format to the Getting Started guide, except it doesn't have that step. So it will give you, for example, here, a very detailed overview of all of the different buttons. So this is great if you get stuck, or if you're the kind of person who likes to read to get started yourself. By the time you finish through reading this, or you might just choose to dip in and out of it at choice, you should stream all the features that Quirkos has to offer. And this includes a lot of the more advanced features here, including and doing different database management with it, in case you need to perform any kind of more advanced operation. Now, we've also got, as I mentioned, workshop materials, which example, there's two projects here listed. There's one here, the first one here is an example project in our work, basically a series of made-up interviews about people talking about what they eat for breakfast. And what we do here is actually, for convenience sake, here, which we've actually provided 5 transcribed interviews from different authors, and also that directly here actually. And there's also a coded example file here which you can download. Coded. So again, with the Getting Started guide, you can take the sample data or come along to one of our workshops or follow on the online session. Your own project. In fact, if I'll show you very quickly, we've actually got that breakfast project here, and I can open that up and see, here we are. These have been imported here on the right, and you can see with the striped text, we've coded text, and we've created here, which is represented by these different bubbles. And so this is basically how Quirkos works. We can just drag and drop a piece of to one that grows every time we add text, and that shows us how much data is being coded to each of the bubbles. So you've then got to explore the data. So here we've got a query view which shows on the left everything that the men have said in the project. Everything. So now we've got a coded file to work with. You can explore some of the more advanced features which exist and examine differences and comparisons within the data. So you can download all of these from the website. Also here, another example project we have here, which is in an adjacent folder. And this is a real research. Now, this was a couple of years ago, but what we actually did is interviewed about, I think it's 15 people on opinion referendum and how it's changed their political views going forward. Now, these are real interviews with real people, randomly selected. They were fully transcribed, and when we got consent for their participation in the project, we got their agreement that and actually make them available in their entirety on the website for people to download for this data. And again, just as with the other example here, we've got all of the different actually look at. In fact, let's have a look. We'll just open one of these. So it's just the first one here, but we've got words here of directly transcribed from the audio interviews. So a great source for which has some of the nuances that you want to pull out from qualitative work. And just like the other project, there are also coded in, so you can download one of the files here. I've actually already got them downloaded, so let's open. You can see one example of basically how I coded this project. Now, obviously, you might be interested, or your students might have a different take on aspects of politics or self-representation or any different issues, and they might examine it and say, now this more detailed project that students can explore see a bit of data and a lot of coding this time, exactly how that will work. We've also on that website got two has the only the framework, so that's the structure here which I created. So it has these topics but no coding, so you can go through and code yourself. And there's also an option here which has their properties like gender and demographics already imported into the file, and then a student is able to coding framework and come up with their own structure and see what they want to examine for learning. And I feel it's especially important in qualitative data, this data, so you kind of see what's possible and the different interpretations that people can have of data. I think these resources get stuck in with their own research and with their own data. And it may be the case that, especially in undergraduate programs, there is their own project. So these materials are again free to use for that purpose. Now, just that resource that I want to go through, and I've mentioned it already. You go down to the bottom here, you'll see there's these sample teaching slides. So this is I've got that on this computer, so I'm just going to open that up. So here is and it's got some kind of overview slides here about what software is, what qualitative analysis, and then it's got, as I said, slides here showing all of the different aspects of the software in a workshop session. So you can imagine having these slides up on the screen if students have got laptops or they're in a computer lab on their own computers as we go along. So as I said here, you have all of the hundreds and hundreds of screenshots of each of the different functions. Edit these if you like, just take any of the images and use them to teach how the software works and the different, giving an overview of the main functions of qualitative software. And it goes through there, and there's the export. These are available to download from the website, and they have, there's no registration necessary. So that's basically everything, the materials that we have at this stage. The workshops and events. Now, these might be something that if you're unable to fit this into your curriculum, but you think it's to refer your students to. We run workshops across usually one every 2 or 3 months at different cities across the UK. We're trying to get away all the way around to cover everyone. If you've got and you're not too far away, do let us know. We do come and visit for custom workshops. You do get us for that. But of course, we've also got these. So here's our next workshop is actually in Manchester in April. For the fast. But we also do every month pretty much an online workshop like this one. The basics of using Quirkos or some particular aspect of qualitative analysis. So every couple of months there's a fresh interactive set live, or they're all recorded and put up on our YouTube channel. So there's a huge and growing resource there of Finally, I just want to actually do a little bit of a demonstration of the software, just if you've not had a chance to see. I mean, I should state that, I mean, my preference is that you don't know whether a software is going to be useful to you, or well, that's why we've got a 1-month free trial. It's probably the longest trial offered by any of the software companies. And you'll see here, and just give it a go for 30 days. Try it yourself, see what you think. If you need longer to play, we can for you for another couple of weeks. But it's, I think probably the best way for students to learn is by playing. Ability for a trial, try it for themselves, try it with the example data or their own data, is probably the best way to learn. I'll just go through very quickly how easy it would be to start a new project. So just click here on here, that's me. So we can see if multiple people have been editing a file, what work they've done. And have a structured question project. And then we just need to put in a file name. So we'll call this. And this file, which is quite a small file, will contain all of the text, all of the sources of data, and all files to save onto a USB stick, to email to yourself if you need to work on the road. And the file's compatible. Compatibility issues there. So you just click to bring in a source of text here. So, but I'll just bring in a file and I'll actually select one of the ones from this example data set. So that's not Simon's for a while. So this is Simon's source of text. We get a little preview there. Simon. So now we've brought that source into the file. Bring in one more here. This is with the example projects here. Obviously, if you've got your own project, I mean, it will automatically bring in text files, rich text files, and also spreadsheet data if you're working with online surveys. Let's bring in some. So now you can see we've got a tabbed view at the bottom that shows us the most recently used source. There's a list in the project. And now just to click on this plus button here, that will create a new represent here. So for example, if we want to look at bread, longer description here, how you describe bread really, and brown bread, I suppose. Assume we're having healthy. We've got it randomly on this canvas, and we can drag and move it around. And so here's someone talking about bread, actually gluten-free bread. Drag and drop it onto the bread bubble, and away we go. And that's how we add text to one of the codes. So this gives you a kind of overview of what's being coded, what's emerging from the data, and we get color. We can also create a new bubble actually just by dragging and dropping text. So we want to do something about tea. Drag, and that'll actually create a new source, a new theme straight away here. We can right click, call this tea. Maybe it's an Earl Grey kind of tea. And that's basically how it works. We can also create hierarchies and clusters and grouping. Drop in, and that's basically the basics of how you would code in Quirkos. Now, the sources. So, for example, if we wanted to add age here, is where we can record the age across all the different sources. We said that Simon's age is 32. We click on Sarah, we'll see that the age can choose any other value which has been put in there before. But let's just quickly choose here 22 instead. Properties. There's also a graph view at the top here. So that will show us that for all of our sources, 50% of them are 50 in this case, but there you go. And you can have an unlimited number of these properties. They can be discrete, numeric, notes. So they're very flexible in how you work. So when you've done that, you can actually, we had before from the last project, but if we run this with age 32 and 22, I can perform people who are 32 on the left and 22 on the right. Now, not done anything for people aged 22, so there's nothing there. Like here. So if we want to code a little quicker, we can also use the text search. For example, let's put in bread because I think some bread. So if we change that to see, there's a synonyms database here, which doesn't really have any synonyms for milk. I can't think of another word for milk. Cereal. Someone's got to be talking about cereal. There we go. Right. So both our sources are talking about cereal. So we can actually the sections here to create a new bubble, which will be for cereal. And these ... buttons to get a little bit more context. So if we wanted to see the full sentence for one of these sources, and we can change this to be cereal. Now. That's a coding. When you've done your coding and explored it, there are various different views that you can use. Connections in the data. I'll just skip to the coded example here. So this is after we've done a bit more work on our problem. What do people like? So here we've coded bits of text about multiple topics. About cereal, it's also about diet. So let's see if we right click on like here and choose this overlap view. Healthy and exercise, which are actually the same theme in this example. Because it's closest to the center, that's the one. If we have just as 3 overlapping codes for exercise and like. So people like exercise, people like healthy eating. They like toast a little less, coffee, grape jelly, family, yogurt, juice. So this might tell us something interesting. And we've got the actual example. Toast, that's it here. I really like to have it with Marmite. Yes, there we go. The difference between your themes. And now we've got these categories and subcategories here. By double clicking it, we keep encoded under them. So this is everything which is in the breakfast category and all the subcategories here for toast. That's toast. Again, we can load a little more of the source if we want to see the context around that. We can also want to drag and recode into different aspects. There are also reports which we can generate. The detail examining the project, and these can be saved in lots of different formats. So we can export to Word files, we can export files, and there's a print button here, so you can directly print your data. And with this editor here, basically to appear in your report, what level of detail you want to have. Here's our overviews of the properties, age, and percentage. And the images, which we can put directly into a PowerPoint or into a report or something like that. And then here's the actual text. by theme, by the Quirks, everything which is about healthy, and everything everybody said about toast. Yeah, but we've also got we want the text by source as well. So that's everything that here's everything Simon said around each other. Lots of different options to customize how the reports look, and then you can save it in any of these number of here. So export as a Word document. So I'll just do this quickly. File with any word processor, which has got all of your coding in here as color-coded highlighted text. Quite neat to share your coded data with a supervisor or something like that. They don't need to have the software, but they can see the work you've done. So that's a very brief overview of the basic features and operations in Quirkos. You can get a sense of how visual it is, how easy it is to pick up, how addictive it can be actually doing this coding and getting. It really does help students see the process. You get a little bit more connected to your data. And so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the major packages, but it's got enough for, I mean, we have dozens research projects, small and large, across the world. So it's definitely finding beyond a pedagogical tool and as something as a real piece of Cactus software. If there's anything you wanted to ask or anything you wanted me to demonstrate, do let me know in the chat box. It should be on the side of your screen. Pretty much everything that we wanted to cover today. And it doesn't look like there are. Thanks very much for coming along today. And if you've got any other questions, I'll put a to today. And if you want anything else or you have any other questions or suggestions, please just email us regular updates about our workshops and new materials as we become available. And let us know if you're planning to work curriculum. Thanks very much.